So today we're actually going to do a brake swap on this car. Yep, I know it's probably not worth to put Brembos on it with it being a stance car, but figured let's send it and just do it.
We're using the Acura TL Type S Brembos. These are actually going to get pulled back off and repowder coated eventually. S2000 rotors and OEM brake pads because it's not really worth it to put nice brake pads on this since stance car. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the wheel. I already did it because I just decided to record this. So now next step we'll be pulling the OEM rotor and caliper off. This is actually a base model, so this is even the smaller brakes than the SIs and everything like that. But I was told everything's identical except the sizes. Something that most people don't do and I recommend is once you get the caliper off, even if you're doing just simple pads and everything like that, bungee cord it up top and just have it hang here. This way you're not putting tension on the brake lines. You have tension on there, you end up going to having a brake and everything like that, and that's no fun. And here we go. Here's the size comparison between the OEM size 1.8 rotor and the S2000 rotor. And it's a good bit difference. It's gonna look good on there. So when you're doing it, there actually is going to be some cutting because the caliper ends up hitting the dust shield. So now we're going to mock them up, figure out where we need to cut, and go from there. So right now I'm hitting right here at the bottom, right here in the middle, and I'm going to end up hitting the top. So I'm going to cut a bit off the top, bit off the bottom, bit off the middle, and go from there. So that looks like that should be good. Let's try it again. See if we can get the bolt holes to line up. And looks like they line up. Yep, they line up and there's clearance. So before we do these, we're going to actually end up swapping the pads out of here back to that OEM spec pads that I have sitting on the other side of the shop. Then we'll go from there. Okay, so we're just going to change the pads on these OEM spec pads just because I really don't need anything more. The way it works is there's cross pin right there, cross pin, bracket right there. So what you do, set it up this way, grab a small screwdriver or whatever you want to use. I think they actually make a special tool for it, but I use a small screwdriver, pop it out the top, pop this one out the top. Now the pins are half popped out. You're going to go push against the bracket, slide the pin the rest of the way out. Same on this side. All the way out. There's your bracket. I recommend you to change those. I haven't changed them. I'm not going to change them for now. I'll buy another set eventually. Then there's the old pads. Then new pads. I like talking apparently. New pads in. Slide in the top. Yeah, so this is actually set up so you can do it while it's on the car. That's the way Brembos are set, and it's great, but I figured I'll show you out of the car. This goes in from the top. See, I got them backwards. The clip goes on the outside one. That one's in there. That one's there. Grab the first pin, which of course I put on there. Slide it in from the right direction. And push that pin all the way. And grab your screwdriver or whatever you're using, finish tapping it in. Place the bracket. Slide the pin through the first pad. Push the bracket down so you can get the pin through and over it, pin through and over it to the back pad, and finish pushing it all the way through. And that's how you put pads on a Brembo. So the next step is really where there's no turning back from. And so these have to be drilled out to 9/16. And once you do that, that means you can't go back to OEM brakes without, either building a spacer or changing out the hub. So let's go to that. Everyone I'm talking to says to go with the step drill bit, drill it out to 9/16. Be very careful not to go over. So I'm marking it off. If I go past it, if I go to the tape, I'm right at 9/16. So let's go from there. And there's one. And there's two. Now I have to actually go grab the real drill bit and drill it out. So after that, you follow it up with a 9/16 drill bit and just run it all the way through. Maybe. And there's one. And there's two. So now, this beauty should, in theory, bolt right up. Really? Doesn't want to thread in now. And let's try the bottom just to make sure. So I think that's a little bit of a difference past OEM. So we bolted it back up. We're going to pull the brake line off. You can use the OEM parts, so be very careful with them. I'm using a 9/16, and let's pull that off. There it goes, and it's loose, and there goes my brake fluid, and I ripped my glove. Wonderful. There it goes. And be very careful with these because you actually end up reusing these on the calipers. So now's the fun part, bolting all back together. Slide this right over. OEM bolts, and be very careful because you have to use the OEM Acura Brembo bolts, so make sure that when you buy your calipers, you get them with it. And that's them, that's on. So now you're just going to tighten them down, 3/4 inch socket.
Top is snug. And let's get the bottom now. That's on. Next up is you're going to be using the OEM hardware from the Civic to mount your brake lines back on. It mounts just with the OEM line. Make sure you put your crush washers in and everything else you need. Crush washer on top and bottom, and bolt right in. And then go through proper bleeding.
We'll do a nice little size comparison. There's the OEM set, single piston, OEM caliper, nothing special other than a drilled and slotted rotor. And then there is the Brembos. It's a good bit difference. So 4-piston Brembos versus a single piston OEM.